Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Hello everybody. Welcome back. Standing Brothers Show, episode 135. I am your host, Tim Apple, joined by Harry Doyle here, and we have a fantastic show for you guys. Later in the episode, we get a special guest. Bill Microsoft is going to be coming by the episode, and
Jeff Amazon's going to stop
Donald
by too.
Hotel will also be here as well.
And Jeff Amazon.
Jeff Amazon. That is my favorite. I was just talking before the show. That's my favorite Trump moment. For those of you who don't know, there was a meeting that Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, had at the White House, and they were talking about moving more of Apple's manufacturing to America, and it was kind of this summit or whatever you want to talk about. And during Trump's talk to the press, he was saying how much he appreciates them working together, and he says, we're doing great work. You got to bring Apple back to America, but we thank you all that you do, Tim Apple. He calls Tim Cook Tim Apple, and then days later, the media is confronting him about it. He's like, no, I never said that. Never happened. I love Tim. Tim's great. Okay. His phones, okay, they're probably crap. I don't know. Sort of an Android kind of guy, but Tim Apple, I mean Tim Cook, great guy. I never said that. I miss him. We don't deserve him.
As if the president getting someone's name wrong is newsworthy.
Yeah, there's the thing is out of all the things to talk to him about.
Yeah.
Did you call Tim Cook Tim Apple, Trump? No, I never did it. It never happened. You're fake news.
You're stupid.
You ask a lot of stupid questions. Folks, how are you doing this wonderful Friday morning? We are up and at it pretty early today. Hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you guys are having a great week. We got a lot of things to talk about today. Joe, how are you today?
I'm fine.
You're good.
Just chugging right along.
Chugging right along like a big choo-choo train?
Yeah.
You on board the train of life? The soul train?
Yes, Soul Train.
The hippest trip around?
The hippest trip around.
We are all on the train of life around this giant marble flying through space at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So let that sober you up, folks. Got a lot of things we'll talk about today, and get some announcements at the end of the show. Just some more technical paperwork stuff we have to just kind of put out to everybody. But yeah, a lot of stuff in the news, Joe. A lot of things happening and moving and grooving.
Big things. I guess the biggest news is the whole Supreme Court thing.
Oh yeah.
Have you been watching this?
How can I not?
How can you not be watching this, right? Excuse me, my Rona's coming back. But Stephen Breyer, the senior most member of the Supreme Court, decided he's going to retire. And he decided to do this now because, well, if you want another so-called progressive to sit on the court, then now is the time. Now is the time, because I guess it shows that if they waited until, we can't pick a new Supreme Court until we have a new Congress, or we can't pick a Supreme Court until we have a new president. Well, we'll just forget about all that for a second. And maybe it signals that the Democrats aren't so confident that they're going to win in the upcoming midterm election. And that's the reason why Stephen Breyer and Biden were like, you got to do it now.
That's what I saw. And it was kind of, if he were to retire, I think he's retiring this week or effective.
No, it's
immediately
at the end of this year's term.
Oh, is he?
So I think it's in October. So the Supreme Court term ends.
Okay, so they're gonna elect a new person, and
Biden's gonna nominate someone, and
then they'll vote, and then once Breyer's gone, I guess they will move in.
They'll sticky note his name on.
I think this is maybe whether it's intentional or not, a little subliminal message that maybe they're not confident in the midterms.
No, I mean, how could they be? Because if they were so confident they're going to take back however many houses and seats they're going to take back, then this wouldn't be that big of a deal. Because I think it's up to 30 now of Democrats who are deciding they're not going to run
Yeah,
again.
they're gonna retire.
They're going to retire. So who knows if however many seats the elephants will pick up, because the donkeys ran home. Who knows how many seats will be gained by the Republicans? But I mean, we're gonna have to go through another one of these charade of a confirmation hearing. I was thinking.
Just hide your yearbooks in your.
Seriously. Now, the difference is that I don't expect the Republicans to go as low as the Democrats did with Clarence Thomas or Kavanaugh. I don't expect them to do that, but they're going to make a huge deal about the one specific criteria, or the two specific criteria that Biden laid out over a year ago as far as who he would pick for a Supreme Court justice, which to me, it is the epitome of why the woke progressive side of things is so just so utterly stupid, and why it's demeaning of substance and of facts and matter, things that actually matter for a Supreme Court justice, right? Where do they go to school? What's their background in law? What do they think about this, that, and the other? None of that matters. Do you fall within the particular criteria that we have laid out?
Do you know that one of the people that they were, I think that, one of the people that I think CNN had on their short list of people wasn't even like an attorney or a judge. They worked at like the NAACP or something like that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, hold on. And the most qualified person I think is like an associate. Yeah. So hold on. I'm gonna find it. I just now remembered that. Yeah. So here we go. A civil rights attorney, Shirlene Ifill. A civil rights attorney who was the director and counsel of the NAACP Legal Defense. So never served on like a court, never had to issue rulings as far as like, as a district judge or a county. It's not even like a magistrate or anything of the lower levels of what a judge had to do. Just an attorney, just a civil rights attorney, which will be great to see her opinions on, vaccines or guns, something that doesn't have to do with civil rights. She's like, well, let me think. Let's look here about antitrust. Okay, well, how does this deal with civil rights? Because really, that's all that I do is a civil rights attorney.
I mean, well, look who's standing behind her, though.
The Reverend
Al Sharpton. So, the Chuck Todd of not CNBC, MSNBC.
Yeah.
I guess whatever. Chuck Todd, probably one of the probably just as dumb as Don Lemon from CNN, but whatever. So he had a panel on, and they were going over just raving over the Biden's Supreme Court pick that hasn't been named yet. So he said that what he said is that he said they're celebrating on Wednesday in this panel about the retirement of Justice Breyer, and he basically said that Todd was already hailing President Biden's yet to be named SCOTUS pick as someone who will be as iconic as Thurgood Marshall. He later declared that there were no red flags in the still unnamed court pick, as far as the record goes. We don't even know who this person is, and he's saying it's going to be iconic as Thurgood Marshall, and it's going to be groundbreaking. It's so inspiring because of this person who may or may not be picked. Like, you don't even know who it is.
But I think the biggest thing that people are jumping on is the criteria of what Biden's pick has to be. So,
well, he made a promise.
Yeah. So Biden made a campaign promise, and he was asked, and he said, "Well, if I had the opportunity to select a Supreme Court justice, I make a promise that it'll be a black woman." Which is fine if you think that excluding half of the population based on sex and another vast majority based on the melanin count in their skin.
Well, what is a woman?
Exactly. What is a woman? That's not for me to decide.
That's so. I mean, could it be a trans man or a trans woman?
I guess, but what even goes further is they're like, well, we need this because we need a black person on the Supreme Court and we need diversity. that would all be fine, well and good if Clarence Thomas didn't exist.
Well, see, but Clarence Thomas is the token Negro.
You ain't black.
You ain't black.
You ain't black.
Because
He's lost his blackness.
Because he's basically white, just like
He's a closeted white person.
He's a deeply closeted white person, just like how the black community basically just gave up Colin Powell.
We don't want him anymore.
We don't want Colin Powell.
That is the most ridiculous, asinine thing. I've read Clarence Thomas's autobiography. It is fantastic. And seeing people want to gripe at me for whatever on race and stuff like that, whatever, because they think that there's this giant oppression and plight towards minority groups in society today. Go look at Clarence Thomas's history whenever he had to live in the Jim Crow South, and he recounts the Klan marching in front of his house, like having parades, and he would have to go inside. You know, you talk about real like fear and oppression. I don't. You know, the Klan is really not a thing anymore. People like to throw and say, well, you know, the Ku Klux Klan is still this big relevant. It's like 500 people, and they're all inbred.
Well, the difference is, Jacob, black people today would probably at one time or another saw a Trump supporter. So
well, of course,
it's basically the same thing.
I mean, a Trump supporting Republican is exactly the same as David Duke, or exactly the same as the grand
dragon
wizard of your local chapter. So definitely,
yeah, there's no difference.
Yeah, there's no difference at all.
We also had the first openly white supremacist president.
It's true.
In
true.
Trump.
He was,
and he wasn't even white. He was orange.
He was literally Hitler, and I'm so glad that we were able to vote Hitler out of office because, man, the authoritative dictator that we had in office, we voted him out. Man, that was well done. Just round of applause. The idea of picking someone based solely upon, and I mean, you could have given Trump crap for this because he said that he wanted to pick a woman. How about this? Okay, how about this? And then this is a radical idea that won't be popular with some people, but I really don't give a crap. The Supreme Court is a pretty important position. It holds a lot of power. You have an opinion. A slice of an opinion that'll affect literally the entire country. So, and this is based solely upon your intellect and your experience and your knowledge of the law, the Constitution, and natural rights. Just maybe, we should pick somebody who is the best qualified for this position, regardless of how they look on the outside or the inside. Honestly, I don't care. For all I care, if you could put someone on the Supreme Court who would defend natural rights and give people back their Second Amendment rights, guaranteed their First Amendment rights, and get the government's boot off of the throats of Americans. I don't care if they're a bisexual, androgynous, alien creature who has no nose and who is a transracial Eskimo bound to a wheelchair.
From Hawaii.
Yeah, from Hawaii. I honestly don't care. Like the identity of that person does not, like, I don't look. People like to say that if you have somebody on the court that looks like you, then you can identify with them and then they speak for you. I am white and I am a man. Justice Breyer does not speak for me, and he does not represent me or my ideals. So to use the same argument...
You know what's funny, though, is that of all the Supreme Court justices, like, there's a majority of them are white. So Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Roberts, Alito...
Sotomayor is... she's Hispanic.
Right.
Isn't she Pacific, I think?
The majority of the justices and the Chief Justice are all white. Even though I don't like any of them, the one that speaks to me the most is the black guy.
It's Clarence Thomas. Yeah.
How does that make any sense? How does that work with your...
Clarence Thomas represents my principles better than anybody else. And
Alito more than the others, but Clarence Thomas is more.
But he looks nothing like me.
Yeah.
So to say, okay, we're going to put a black woman on the Supreme Court and she's going to represent all black women. Well, what if you have a conservative or a libertarian? Or you have a red pill progressive. Are they going to be represented by this supposedly, and we can go and predict, woke person that's going to be on the Supreme Court? It's kind of, I mean, I dare I say racist to be assuming that just because the skin color of that person will now, okay, I'll use the same example. Does Clarence Thomas represent every black man in America? No. And you know, and that's coming from a guy who largely agrees with him. It's dumb. We've never picked people in this way.
Well, this is the epitome of racism. It's what it is. It's because we're not picking you. We're not going to pick you based on who you are, your background, where you went to school, what you think about the issues. No, it's solely because you're a woman, even though they have no definition of what that is, the woke left, and because you're black. That's the only reason why we're picking you. So it is racist to say that. And to see all these people saying this is an inspiring moment, this is a moment of great good in our country. Well, I mean, when they picked Justice Thomas, right? I think one of the first black people to be on the Supreme Court. I don't think he's the first one, probably the second or third. I don't know. But anyway, they ran him through the ringer unnecessarily, like they did Kavanaugh. And that's the black guy. And you go back and look at all the Democrats that were accusing him of all the wrong things that he did, even though they were all untrue. So it hasn't. Yes, they say it's about race, but what they're really doing is that what they're going to do is, and I can already see it happening, is that when we get to these confirmation hearings, and the Democrats will lob the softballs at her. It's like, well, isn't it such a great thing? Isn't it so inspiring that you could potentially be the first black woman on the Supreme Court? And the Republicans are going to ask questions about what she thinks about the law, and they're going to be deemed as racist. So this whole thing is already stupid, because we're not going to get to anything of substance, because all they want to do is talk about race and gender, versus when Kavanaugh was going through his hearing and Justice Thomas, it was about sexual abuse claims. And it had no substantial basis in any version of reality. And it's stupid, because we're not going to get to the bottom of what these people actually think. And that's why the whole Supreme Court is stupid. Because if you can't pick someone to the Supreme Court, where these people hold a stupid amount of power these days, and we're only picking them on their race and gender, not what they think about anything.
Well, we are picking about what they think on the inside, because if you notice, they're not like nominating like a Candace Owens who
well, I wouldn't vote for her anyway.
But yeah, what I'm saying though is that if they wanted diversity, if they only cared about the skin color and the sex of the person, then why isn't a Candace Owens on there? Because clearly qualifications don't matter if you can be a civil rights attorney and the head of the NAACP. This is what whenever you've given the example many times about how this is all WWE. Mm-hmm. It's all WWF, right? They put this product out for you to see, but really there's so much backroom dealing that's going on. They are picking somebody that is going to agree with them, like policy wise,
politically.
And yes, politically. They are picking someone
polarized
but
court.
They are phrasing it and they're putting the product out there like, oh no, we are picking a diverse pick. We're picking a black woman.
You know what this is? This is the same thing as it's the Money in the Bank challenge, right? You have to grab the ladder and go grab the briefcase of Money in the Bank, the WWE game. And what this is that a white male, a hero, will go up and grab the briefcase and he'll act like he's won. And then down the steps comes Vince McMahon.
And he pushes the ladder up.
And he pushes the ladder away, takes the briefcase, and gives it to the black lady who got knocked out early in the round. That's what this is. Has nothing to do with her merits. She got knocked out early, but nothing to do with the merits. It's all about white people, white liberals, white woke liberals, virtue signaling, genuflecting on their knees, begging black people not to hate them. That's all this is. And it's demoralizing, it's demeaning to people of minorities, because here they are, because what white people are essentially saying is, well, you can't do it on your own, so I'll help you. Because without the white person, you couldn't do it. That is the most racist thing that you could ever do. To take pity on someone else because they're black, and, well, because I'm white, I have an inherent, white guilt or whatever. and because I have such white guilt, I'm going to do everything in my power to get on my knees and bend over for you because I have so much white guilt. It's so stupid.
Well, and that's not to say that a black woman like necessarily shouldn't be on there. Like
That's not what I'm saying.
That's not what we're saying. Some people may take this as saying, "Oh, well, you just don't want to. You just want to see only white people." No, I like as I said,
Clarence Thomas is the only one that represents us.
Clarence Thomas is the best Supreme Court justice we've got. If you want to look based solely on, defending natural rights and principles of the U.S., the thing he's actually supposed to do. Like, he's doing the best out of all of them. It's funny how CNN puts Roberts on the conservative side. Like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. They just do that to make the liberal justices look way smaller. But look, if you were to give me a panel of nominees and the best person there was a black woman, then yes, I would pick them. This is not this whole idea that people are discriminated against based on their skin color or their gender nowadays. I find funny because there was a guy like Gavin McInnes said this many years ago. He said that never in the history of the modern world has this happened. Oh, I see here that you are applying for this accounting job, and you have loads of experience in this position. Wow, and you can save me, $100,000 a year in savings. That's amazing. And you only want the median salary for this? Well, I'd be crazy not to hire. Oh, you're a black man. So we'll call you. No, that's not how any of this works. That's not how. Capitalism, people have to make in this people want to put hyper capitalistic society we have. They don't have the luxury to discriminate against, because I'm telling you right now, if major businesses could make more money and cut costs more effectively with an all diverse cast of characters, they would do it in a heartbeat, because they don't care about who takes the role necessarily as far as what they look like. They just care about making money and saving money. The same thing should be going for this. I like how they say that, it's a black woman's turn next. I'm still waiting for a Hispanic man or a Korean man. Where's the Korean woman on this list? I'm still waiting for that. There's no Polynesian representation. There's no South African representation. There's no Eastern European representation on this list. There's definitely no Chinese. I don't see a single Chinese person on this list. So to say that it's a black woman's time next, I want to see some receipts on that, because apparently they're all pulling from the same list that apparently I am omitted from seeing. Everyone's saying, well, it's a black woman's turn next. Okay, you can send me my email will be listed down below. You can comment on a Substack. Show me the list. Send me the list. Show me okay, it was white men. It was black men, and it was white women, and whatnot. But obviously not something for black women.
It's musical chairs.
Well, they're all saying the same thing, so they must have some list. And next in line, they're like, oh, well, next on the docket is a black woman.
I still can't get over the whole Chuck Todd thing about how they're all hailing this next pick, even though no one knows who it is.
Watch
as iconic.
What'd be funny is because you know how much Biden is just losing it. I don't know if I showed you that clip before the show started where he was sitting down with one of the presidents of Ford, not Farley, but one of the executives at Ford. They're talking about his tour at the EV plants there in Dearborn, and Biden was saying, thank you for bringing me out to your EV factory out in Dearborn, and we went out and drove the what's that but it was great, and the media thought I was crazy, but I had a lot of fun, and the Hummer was fun to drive.
Wow, Ford doesn't even make a Hummer.
But... No, what'd be great is if Biden's like, I am picking a black woman, and it's Candace Owens, and everyone's like, what?
Hold on a second.
He's like, it'd be funny is if you were to slip a Candace Owens photo, which I'm not even the biggest fan of Candace Owens, but if you were to slip a photo of her and he just looks at the photographs, is like, well, This one's the youngest. This will be my legacy the longest. I'm picking her. Would Chuck Todd feel the same way about picking that? Or like Condolingus Rice? Do you think that he would have the same way? If
because Candace Owens, even though she is black and she is a woman, even though they can't describe what that is, she engages in wrongthink, and I think we've already been over that.
Yes, the wrongthink.
She engages in wrongthink. She thinks for herself. She does her own research. She doesn't follow the science. Nope. She's a COVID denialist or whatever, and thereby excluding her from the shortlist.
She's also an anti-vax flat earther, too.
Right. And she's probably a closeted racist.
Probably closeted.
She probably hates black people.
She probably hates herself. She's just like, man, if only I could kill myself and still live, I'd probably... What's that? What's that? On the Clayton Bigsby, he'd kill himself because he's so desperate to the cause.
I'm overwhelmed by the irony. What's his name? Chuck Todd. Again, swooned over the short list, even though we don't really know who some of these people are. And he said, do you expect this future Supreme Court justice to be iconic in the black community like Thurgood Marshall was? And this lady he asked this to said, absolutely. I do think this justice will be an icon like Thurgood Marshall was, because she is breaking a glass ceiling. She is breaking a barrier. She will be the first, and that's how history will remember her. And I think that's a lot of why people are celebrating right now. And it's like, well, no one's been nominated. No one's been confirmed yet.
Yeah, but we're already...
But this whole thing about the glass ceiling. Glass ceilings don't exist. I mean, if they do, that's kind of stupid. But glass ceilings is like... It's like, yet again, you need the help of a white male. You need Joe Biden's help, of all people, to break the glass thing that you couldn't break on your own. Again, I will make my point again about how it's the self-hating woke white people who are doing everything in their power to bend on their knee for the minorities, saying that you can't do it yourself, so I will help you. It's like, that is the, I guess it's the bigotry of low expectations, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean, how would you feel? Like, sometimes I give this example because I had a conversation a long time ago about diversity, forced diversity and stuff like that, and I said, I didn't use this example, but I'll just use this. It's a very same example. I love baseball. Baseball is my favorite sport in the whole wide world. And they're a very popular league out in Japan is the Japanese Professional League, and it is about 90% Japanese. Now, if there was a diversity call from the owner of the Japanese baseball team and said that there's just too many dang Japanese people in this league, never mind the fact that Japan is, overwhelmingly Japanese. Imagine that. It's like, we need a more diverse baseball team, so we're going to pick any white person we can find or any black person we can find. How would you feel if you were that person selected? Not based on your ability to hit, field, or pitch, but based solely upon the skin color of your skin, or the color of your skin. Like, yep, that's you. Last night I watched Matt Walsh's show, who I think is funny, even though I think he's one of those conservatives that I just kind of roll my eyes at sometimes, but he's funny and he puts on a good show. He made a good point about what made Jackie Robinson so important and the reason why he's the only baseball player that the entire league stops and celebrates because of what he did. He didn't break the color barrier because the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers was like, dang, this team's too dang white. We need a black person. No, he broke it whenever nobody wanted him to break it. He was not liked. His life was threatened. There was stuff thrown at him at games. He was segregated in the locker room and in the dugout. This was a very hostile environment for him, but he persevered and he showed his ability on the field multiple times and is regarded as one of the best second basemen to ever play the game of baseball. And that's not because of the color of his skin. It's because of his ability on the field. And that's what makes him so special. If he was a simple diversity hire in the 1940s, then nobody would care. No one would care because there was no struggle for him. Because he was welcomed in with open arms. Like, oh, well, we're all going to love Jackie because we need to fill up our diversity quota.
Gotta check a box.
Gotta check a box. It's time for a black. It's time for a black man to enter baseball. So it's gotta be. We'll just find any random person. Just forget about Jackie Robinson. They just found some random guy on the side of the street. Said, "Can you catch a ball?" Yep. Okay.
You're hired.
You're hired. So you're playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers now. No, that didn't happen. He worked hard. He overcame insurmountable odds and persevered and thrived. And again, became one of the greatest second basemen, top 10 second basemen of all time, which is saying something for all the second basemen that have played the game of baseball. But if that is what makes him special, and if he was picked solely based on the color of his skin, the story doesn't mean anything. He was picked to play for the Dodgers because of his ability. And many of them didn't want him to play. But he was that good. So apply that to Supreme Court, and what's a better story? The it's a minority that overcomes insurmountable odds against all factors and all odds, and makes this the Supreme Court, or I'm picking you because you were born with more melanin in your skin, and because you had a 50% chance of being one sex. That's why you're being on the Supreme Court. Oh, and you might have had a role in law at one point in your life. Well, that's good enough for us. Can you read a text? Can you read a law book? Yep, you're hired. Can you spell the word law?
I guess you're gonna try to make it out that whoever Biden ends up picking is gonna went through the same trials and tribulations as Jackie Robinson did, which won't even be remotely true. Now, if anyone went through those things, it probably would have been Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, he
did. Because back in his time, when he came up in the world, much more hostile to minorities than it is now. Like, it's like night and day comparison. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Doesn't mean everything's perfect. Doesn't mean that there's no problems with the race in America today. This doesn't mean that, but it's so much better than it used to be. And it just seems like people can't take a moment and say, you know what, maybe he's right. Maybe we are better off than we were 50 years ago. It's like, no, we progress. Until what? So, the Supreme Court is stupid. I say fire them all.
I would say get rid of it too, but we don't have such luxuries, Joe.
Well, we could. Did you see that Buckhead wants to secede from Fulton County?
Yeah, and
or from the city of Atlanta.
Go for it.
Because the problems that have been created in the Buckhead area since 2020, since the pandemic, the amount of drag racing, looting, violence, so-called gun violence, and stuff like that has been going on in Buckhead since 2020 has just exploded, and it's not safe to go into places near Buckhead. Now, for those of you who don't know, Buckhead is like the city where all the rich people are in Atlanta.
It's the most wealthy part of Atlanta.
Right. And the reason why they don't want them to secede is because, well, you know what rich people do, Jacob? They pay a lot of money in taxes. So if the city of Atlanta loses Buckhead, all those tax dollars go with them. But the difference is that if they're not allowed to secede, all those rich people are just going to leave anyway.
Yeah, they're not going to just stay there and deal with it. I saw a thing. I think that Shane Hazel talked about this whenever they were first proposing the idea. I think it was last year they were kind of proposing the idea of seceding, and how people were saying that it's a racist, and that because Buckhead is majority white, that it's just white people wanting to get away from black people, and it's racist and it's segregation.
If that was the case, then they would just move.
Yeah, they would just move. The thing is that Buckhead is a very nice area to live in under normal circumstances, and you still have access to the parts of Atlanta that are worth going to, because there are some restaurants and museums and sporting events and things that do happen in Atlanta that are worthwhile and going to, but. To deal with it. And let's be honest. The reason why the corporate press and the government of Atlanta are calling it racist is because they just don't want to come out and say that, hey, you can't leave because we need your tax dollars.
Yeah.
Let's just be frank. That's the real crime with it. And I hope they do. I hope they secede, and this is, and even if they don't secede, they can probably stiff arm Atlanta to kind of clean up their act. Because I haven't been to Atlanta in probably well over 6 months. I would say close to a year. I haven't been to Atlanta.
Yeah, we don't
the
go
last
to
time
Atlanta.
I've been to Atlanta, besides like Atlanta United game, which usually I don't like stop in Atlanta. I just go to the stadium. I would say we went to Criminal Records well over a year ago, and my gosh, I have no desire to go back up there.
I don't.
Again.
I just don't see the appeal anymore of living in a big city.
I don't.
Even before COVID, I just don't. It's so expensive. You don't own anything of your own. You rent everything. You don't have your own space. You're surrounded by people that hate you. I just don't see the appeal of living in a city.
Well, I think post COVID, people see how powerful these governments are, and they see that anything that they deem as a necessary emergency or disaster, they'll take everything away from you. You're seeing this in New York City. You're seeing this in Los Angeles, parts of
major city.
Yeah, major city. And people are just not worth it. I mean, there's a lot of fun things to do in big cities. They're cultural epicenters. Typically, that's where most of your, museums and sporting events and best restaurants are typically in these bigger cities. But they're fine to visit, but I don't know to live there. But even to go visit nowadays is it's crazy. Like there were concerts last year that I was going to go to, but I didn't go to because they were requiring either a vaccine card or a negative test, and I have ways to obtain both. That's all I'm gonna say. But I was like, I just don't want to give into that, and I think that's honestly where I'm at right now. If there's an event that requires me to show that I've undergone a medical procedure, whether it be a vaccine or a negative test, I'm just not going to go. It's not worth it to me. It really isn't. There's nothing that we've the COVID argument for the need of vaccines and the need of negative tests to stop the spread is gone. It's over. So there's no point of it anymore. And furthermore, I feel that by saying, "Oh, well, it's just a negative test," you're perpetuating.
You're kind of giving in.
You're giving in, and you're perpetuating, and you're normalizing this forever. And I think that's where people have to just look long and hard at this action and at what these people are doing. And usually it's not even the bands. Like, the bands don't care, most of them.
It's the venue.
It's the venue, and it's the booking agencies.
The
cities, yes. They're the ones that are doing this. I mean, it's the reason why Eric July hasn't been able to go on tour with Backwards. It's because he said that Backwards and myself will not tour if a venue, city, or booking agency requires people to show their papers. I'm not doing it. It's not worth it to me. And they're sitting on an album that they're not going to release it because releasing an album and not being able to tour on it is suicide. It's stupid. We don't make any money on that. But that's where we're at, and these big cities just foster it. If I were to live closer to Atlanta, the last 2 years would have looked very, very different. Last time I was in Atlanta, it wasn't too bad. Back in 2021, I think it was actually about this time last year is when I went to Atlanta last time. But I don't get it. I hope that Buckhead does succeed.
It just seems like the closer you get to a major city, that the clouds get grayer, gets a little bit darker. The people start to look more like NPCs. Things just get so much more gloomy the closer you get to a major city. And you even can see that in some places like we were just in Tampa a few weeks ago. Even though it's Florida, you could still kind of get that feeling in a major city like Tampa that you had in Atlanta or New York or wherever.
But I would argue that Tampa was nowhere near as crazy as Atlanta. Not to say that Tampa's a perfect city or anything, because it's not, but
it's still Florida.
Compared to how Atlanta is, Tampa is a dream. Because we went to a Joe Jorgensen rally back in 2020, the summer of 2020. We went to one of her rallies, and it was held outside some restaurant, and Shane Hazel was there. A bunch of the people were there, but they had drag racing.
Right behind us.
Right behind us, people on dirt bikes and ATVs just driving down the cities of Atlanta, and no cop cares. Like, it's illegal. You're not allowed to be doing stuff like that. Whether or not you give me the libertarian argument about whether you should or not, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these cops were hired to do a job and to stop this, and they're not. The cops were literally just standing by and not doing anything. As 50 people on dirt bikes
rode through red lights.
Drove right through red lights, cut people off. The city's gone to heck and back. And
well, it hasn't come back. I think it's still there.
It's still there. It's trying to find that return ticket, but she can't find it.
I don't even want to go to a Braves game because the new Braves stadium is past Atlanta.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to get there. And even though the area around the new Braves stadium is nice, I just don't want to go and be around all those people. Not because I'm scared of COVID. I just don't want to be around all those people.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the Braves game because the Braves and Yankees came by. That's the only reason why I went. If I go to a Braves game now, it's because a group of friends are going, and it's an event that you go with friends, which is like the venue is secondary to who you're going with. If you go in that context, or to see the Yankees or to see the Cleveland Indians play. Those are the only teams that I will be willing to drive and actually go to. If it was not the Yankees playing those 2 days, there's no way in heck I would be going to either one of those games. But even with, like, me and my dad went to, and I was still like, okay, I was cleared from a COVID to go. Like, I was cleared to go back to work, but I was still like,
you had the side effects.
Yes. I was still like the post-COVID, like just haze and dizzy and had little to no appetite. So I was still feeling the after effects of it. And of course, I think the biggest thing for me getting that out in public was I got COVID in August, and it's hot. It's hot here in Georgia during that time, and being locked up in a house for 10 days, air conditioned, then going outside when you're weak, it just zaps you. It just drains you when you're in that heat. So, I loved going to those games. The Yankees won both of them because, they're the best, and they beat the Braves.
They're, like, good.
But they're, like, a good team. But, that second game, I was just like, it's a hike, man. That's going to be a hike, because it took us 2.5 hours to get up to that game. Bro, will you mute your phone?
Shut your mouth. Anyway,
The card's calling you.
Yeah. Did you see that the Biden the administration wants to regulate cryptos as a matter of national security?
I saw something about that. Maybe it was in the Wall Street Journal. I saw an article about that.
I've got one here from Barron's.
From Barron's? Okay, yeah, go for it. Talk about it.
So the Biden administration is preparing to release an executive action that will task federal agencies with regulating digital assets such as Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a matter of national security. A person familiar with the White House tells Barron's. The National Security Memorandum is expected to come in the next few weeks, would task parts of the government with analyzing digital assets as assembling a regulatory framework that covers cryptos, stablecoins, and NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. This is the problem that I saw with cryptos, and especially with the stupid NFTs. Did you see that Paris Hilton and Jimmy Fallon both bought one of those stupid apes?
Aren't those NFTs?
Yes.
Yeah.
They spent how many thousands of dollars on a picture of an ape? I guess you can do some customizing to it, but then again, thousands of dollars. Now, the only reason why these pictures of apes have any value is because we have such a sycophantic culture that idolizes celebrities. That whenever a musician, actor, late-night host buys something, well, everyone has to jump on the bandwagon. That's the only reason why these things have value. But the difference is that, well, they say it's an NFT, so you own it. Well, I can just take a screenshot of it, and I have it. Well, they say, well, you had the link to it, but I have a screenshot. Who cares? It's stupid. But regulating cryptocurrencies and stablecoins and NFTs as a matter of national security, first of all, it has nothing to do with national security when they say that, because nothing ever had it doesn't.
When they say it's a matter of when they say it's a matter of national security, it's not.
It automatically means they're not getting enough tax money. That's what it is. Yeah. Because what they're wanting to do.
That is the national security threat, is that they don't have enough tax money.
Because they're not Uncle Sam's not getting his cut on digital monkeys. So what this is, it has nothing to do with national security. It has everything to do with taxation. And this is I think a lot of people were overly optimistic about cryptos and the blockchain. Now, the blockchain and cryptos do potentially have a great asset. It could potentially be a very good thing. But the problem is, though, is that what we were promised was, well, if you're on the blockchain, you can't be tracked, you won't be traced, people won't know where you are. Turns out that's not 100% sure, because
that's a common misconception with the blockchain.
Because you can still be tracked, they can still find you, they can still even if they get through with regulating it, then it'll be nothing. It'll be just like the USD, although maybe a little bit more stable.
Well, the blockchain, like for Bitcoin, the blockchain ledger is public, so anybody can look at any transaction that anyone's ever done. I think that the idea that there is 100%
or security.
Security. Well, not just security, but privacy in your transactions. I don't know. That's the misconception. Bitcoin was never promised to be that. I think it's more of you can't shut it down.
Yeah. And
you can't steal it unless someone like steals your password or something like that. But like the government can't like block you from selling and buying with Bitcoin. That's the appeal of it. And then I think that the public appearance of the ledger is that way. It's a transparency, so you can see like, oh, did this? So you can have like third party verification on whether or not transactions went through or not. But the idea of Bitcoin is that you can't shut it down. So the government couldn't go into like null and void Bitcoin, like they could technically null and void the U.S. dollar if they wanted to. And they could say, hey, now you have to buy, it's like some Biden dollars or like some Biden bucks or whatever.
Fed coins.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Fed coin.
I think the problem is, though, is that we say that about the blockchain. We say that about you can't shut it down. The Fed released its paper on whether or not they're going to make their own Fed coin. It's actually their own version of Bitcoin. If that happens, they will find a way. And I just, knowing how these things work, they will find a way on how to block people from using the blockchain, unless it's the federal government's version of it. That's going to happen if this kind of stuff goes through. If they actually embark on the task of regulating cryptocurrencies and the blockchain and NFTs. I'm not advocating for that. I think it's a terrible idea, just like all other kinds of regulation. But when it comes to regulating NFTs, I'm like, please do it. Because I think a lot of people are getting fleeced out of so much money over these things. And this, I guess this is just a larger commentary of just why I think that we're being pushed into the metaverse. It's because, well, what are NFTs? This is the kind of stuff you would buy in the metaverse, right?
You'd have like your metaverse, like NFT house, and your NFT Nikes, and your NFT hats, and your NFT Lexus, and
so you plug yourself in, or you put the goggles on, and you're in your make believe house where you've bought all these things with real money, but yet they don't exist in reality, only in your own version of artificial reality. And all the people who are hyping this stuff, the NFTs, I think are selling people a bill of goods. Now, I'm not saying the technology behind it is bad, but when it comes to buying things that aren't real, like art, non-physical things like art or a house in the metaverse, you're being fleeced out of your money and you're being pushed into the matrix. So the technology behind it, maybe you're the deed to your house, or sporting event tickets will be NFTs where supposedly people won't be able to scalp them or steal them.
Well, they already have that now.
Right. But the future, like the deed to your house might be an NFT. That might be a good thing, maybe.
That you can have like a secure digital license to like a certain account or something like that.
If
through,
it's
like, a bank or
if it's
something.
tied to a physical thing, like if the deed to your house was on the blockchain, but yet you actually own a real house.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's different. That's just like a digital receipt or a digital like certificate.
Right.
That's completely different than like, oh, hey, you have a house and it is a bunch of ones and zeros on a computer screen, and that doesn't stop somebody from just like taking a screenshot of whatever it is and owning it.
Because there's two different things, right? Because if you buy the ape art, they're saying, well, you own the piece of art. No, you only own a receipt, which takes you to a website where that art supposedly exists. Now, I can take a screenshot of that because you were stupid enough to post it on Facebook. I can take a screenshot of it, and now I have it for free, even though someone paid tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for it. It's a scam.
There's a great example. So on most investment websites, you can buy ETFs or you can buy fractional shares of gold, and typically they're like digital receipts for gold that's held at like various vaults around the world, whether it's in Australia, the UK, Switzerland, whatever. And you have a physical representation, and if you buy X amount of shares, you own X amount of ounces of gold or whatever. At any time, you could say, hey, I would like my gold now, and you can exchange that receipt for the gold that's held there. At any time, you can request, delivery. Yes, technically, all that you're buying is a digital receipt or a digital certificate saying you own gold, but it's not you're not buying that certificate. You're buying what the certificate stands for. It's like, okay, if you want to buy a house in the metaverse or whatever, and you had a certificate and you said, okay, you own this house that's in Arizona, and at any time you can go to this house and it's really there. That's completely different. Or if you say, hey, I'm going to buy an art and I want it to be stored at this museum in Atlanta or whatever, you still own that piece of art. It doesn't matter what the certificate is. It doesn't matter if someone takes a picture of that certificate and screenshots it. No, you still have legal ownership of it. Like you can photocopy a receipt or a deed to a home. That doesn't mean you own the home now. That's the complete difference with it.
We are being thrust. Our culture is thrusting itself into the realm of inauthenticity, or the lack of authenticity. Gosh, I can't say that word. Because there are people that are saying, well, there are people that said the same thing about the internet. Okay, they said the internet is I remember watching Bill Gates was on with David Letterman. They're talking about the internet, and Bill Gates was saying you'll be able to send electronic mail, you'll be able to listen to sporting events through the computer. And David Letterman said, "Have you heard of a radio?" And it's like, well, people were saying back then that the internet is going to phase out. Remember, Paul Krugman said the same thing.
Paul Krugman said that it'll be less. It'll have less of an impact than the everyday fax machine.
Right.
And how many people actually use fax machines anymore?
Almost no one.
Yeah.
So the people were completely wrong about that. And the same people who were saying, don't count out the internet back in the 90s are saying, well, don't count out NFTs now. It's like, okay, yes, some people will probably find a way to make a stupid amount of money off of this stuff. But are we going to take a step back and say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't do this? Right, because people are saying you got to get on the digital real estate market. You're not buying anything real.
Just say that again, but slowly.
You got to get in on the digital real estate market. We are thrusting ourselves into the metaverse. We are thrusting ourselves into a world where we don't own anything physical, right? So this might be, put your tinfoil hat on. This might be a grand conspiracy here. But you know how the people who are the big proponents of climate change and the Great Reset, whenever say, well, you will own nothing, you will be happy.
And you'll be happy.
That's what this is. That's what I think NFTs in the metaverse are. This is how they will embody, because we all know that that the whole climate change thing is going to look very similar to the COVID lockdowns. It's because to protect the planet, we can't go outside, we can't use our cars, we can't go to theme parks, we can't travel, all of this. Well, people still want to do those things, but how are we going to trick them into thinking they're doing it without actually doing it? The metaverse, NFTs, buying digital real estate. People are it's like high school all over again, with people saying, well, look at this digital house that I have. Well, no, your digital house is smaller than my digital house. This isn't real. Stop this. Stop this before it gets out of hand, because this isn't real. This isn't healthy. This isn't right.
I have a different take on NFTs.
I may sound like a raving lunatic boomer, but I think I'm right.
I have a different take on NFTs. You said they should be regulated.
Yeah.
I say no. I say if some. Here's the thing.
I was joking. I was kind of joking.
Here's my thing. If someone is stupid enough to go out and pay $10,000 for a digital home, and let's just say next year the entire NFT market completely collapses and that home is worth nothing, that means that stupid person has less capital to make other stupid decisions. So if you're going to get swindled, because really, let's just be honest, what's the difference between a NFT maker who just conjures up these NFTs out of thin air? Because really, that's all. They're not like. Actually, I'll put it this way: a snake oil salesman has more has more productivity for the market than an NFT maker, because at least the snake oil salesman gives you a glass bottle that the crap comes in, and maybe you can use the bottle for something else, and maybe you can use the snake oil if it's corrosive enough to strip the paint off of your deck or something. So at least there's some value with the snake oil salesman, even though the snake oil is not going to cure you of any ailments. At least you're getting a nice handmade glass bottle out of it. Whereas, and that took time and effort to make that glass bottle. But a NFT maker who just conjures these ones and zeros out of thin air has produced nothing to the economy. And even if your house, it doesn't do anything and you realize that it's all a scam, at least with snake oil you have a nice glass bottle that you can store water or coins or you can build a ship in.
Well,
but I have no problem with people losing money. And I have no problem with people making money. Listen, as Frank Reynolds once said, there's two kinds of people in this world. There's dupers and there's dupies, okay? Don't be a dupie. You got to be a duper, okay?
What if you just choose not to play the game?
Or just not to play the game. Yeah, I don't buy NFTs. I do have some, I'll be honest, I have some cryptocurrency.
I do as well.
But I don't see cryptocurrency here. I've always said I don't see cryptocurrency as a store of value or as an investable asset. I see it as a way to gamble.
It's like a commodity.
It's a commodity. Well, I wouldn't say it's even a commodity. I would say that it's just a form of just gambling.
At this point, it is.
Yes, the technology has not shown itself stable enough yet. And the people are like, oh, well, one day Bitcoin will be used like the U.S. dollar, and would I like to see that happen? And you have a competing currency to the U.S. dollar? Absolutely, I'd love to see anything compete against the U.S. dollar. But whenever you have an 8% swing in either direction, what business is going to want to take that as currency, knowing that, hey, you that $5 in Bitcoin that you gave me yesterday is now only worth $4.50. So no business is going to want to do commerce with that. So until they can figure out how to stabilize it, it'll be. I will only consider it to be as a gambling endeavor, which is fine. Like I'm nothing against gambling. Go for it.
People have often used the example of the Mona Lisa. Well, I can get a picture of the Mona Lisa. The difference is, though, is that it took an artist, a world-renowned artist, even in his time, years to make that. It took actual skill to make that. It took time to make that. He sweat and tears over that thing, versus just copying pasting on a computer and then calling it art. Like, there's one original, There's only one Mona Lisa. Now, I don't think the Mona Lisa is everything it's cracked up to be. I've seen it in person. I think there's certain portraits that are way better than that one. But that's the one we've all decided is the greatest piece of art ever. Which, fine, whatever. But there's only one of those, and it took one guy a long time to make that. And yes, you can get pictures of it everywhere, but it's tied to something that's physical, that's real, that's been around for hundreds of years. That's different than just, I found this picture of an ape that Paris Hilton made on a website somewhere. There's a big difference between those two.
Well, and I don't think that copies necessarily can't have value.
No.
Like, you could have a print of the Mona Lisa, and that still would cost you, $40, $50. But you don't have the Mona Lisa. Like, there's only one copy of that. I have another example. On my wall, I have an original 69 pressing of Abbey Road. It is valuable. But what's more valuable, that vinyl pressing or the master tapes of the actual record? Yes, they're copies, and yes, I can just go have a copy of it. But what do you think would be worth more? The master tape that they recorded the album on, and that was used to press the records, or do you think my record is worth more? And let's just go another step further. If everybody was able to just download the master tape of Abbey Road to their computer and have it forever and ever and ever, and the actual tape never existed and it existed somewhere digitally, would that have any value at that point? If everybody could have it, well, no. It becomes less and less value because value comes from usability, rarity. That's where perceived value comes from. So if you have a picture of an ape that some loser celebrity drew a picture of or created, but I could just go onto Google Images and download the same picture. Sure, I don't have a digital key to a website where I can look at the same image, but I have the picture. I can set it as my background on my phone if I wanted to. That is anything like that. And I think that maybe this might be like evolution working itself out more and more. That you have these people who are so glorified with celebrities and with trends and with stupid social media and TikTok, which is probably where a lot of this hype comes from. This is from a lot of these garbage sites that people are willing to spend good and hard money for this. So I think maybe this might be the way that evolution is working itself out more and more in our society, that these people won't be able to reproduce and they won't have the opportunity to attract mates because they don't have any money and they've made stupid decisions in their life. So maybe this is actually kind of a good thing. Maybe we should be encouraging people to buy NFTs, because if you are dumb, like buying crypto is fine. I don't really care about that. Because in most cases, crypto, there's a finite amount. There's a system for tracking it, system for using it. Like you can go and buy things with crypto now. Like, it's a usable thing as of right now.
That's how you buy NFTs.
But what I'm saying though is that I can't just download a Bitcoin and then go and buy something with it. Yeah. I have to earn it, or I have to mine or something. I have to put effort into acquiring a Bitcoin or one Ethereum token. I can't just go into Google Images and download 500 Bitcoin. Like, there's a true scarcity of it. And it doesn't matter how many images of the little Bitcoin logo you have. You don't have a Bitcoin. There is a scarcity there. So if you're dumb enough to go out and actually buy NFTs, not for kicks and giggles. Like, if you want to go buy a tweet for $1 just for the heck of it, like whatever, but fully understanding that you have just burned $1 and that is not coming back from you ever again. I say go for it.
I hear people saying that, I'm not saying you have to get on TikTok and dance or whatever, but I am saying that you have to acknowledge that this is the future and this is the way that things are going to be done now. As far as things like TikTok, that's how the world is going to be run now. Well, if that's the case, then I want nothing to do with popular culture and how things are done.
Checking out?
I want nothing to do with that. Because, in almost every dystopian movie that has ever come out is that when all people want to do is become either celebrities or they want to go into high fields of like engineering or architecture, stuff like that. And yet, but nobody wants to be a farmer, and nobody wants to be a plumber and stuff like that. Society always falls apart.
Well, I don't think there's nothing wrong with being an engineer. I think
nothing wrong with wanting to be those things.
I think that the world needs engineers. Like, we need to build things.
Well, yeah, it's true. We do need this. But if everybody wants to be an influencer or an astronaut, that's a problem. Because if you look at what young people want to do today, they want to be an influencer. They want to be a YouTuber.
Everybody wants to be a YouTuber.
Everybody wants to be a celebrity.
What I've always said about that is there's nothing wrong with
being a celebrity.
Technically, we are content creators, and technically, you could, in a roundabout way, call us influencers.
I reject influencers.
You could make an argument that we influence the public towards liberty and towards economics and Austrian economics. One could make that argument. I'm not saying they're necessarily right.
I just prefer a raving lunatic.
But as I've always said, this is a hobby. Like, if this becomes my full-time job, fine. But if it doesn't, like, I'm not doing this. I don't write on my Substack. I don't do this podcast twice a week for the sole purpose of, like, one day becoming the next Rush Limbaugh or the next Sean Hannity or, like, the next biggest star on radio or on the internet. It's not why I do this. Which is, some people, that's like their only goal in life is like, if I don't become a YouTube star, then I'm finished. Or if I don't become the next Charlie D'Amelio on TikTok.
People see that this is the only way to make it in life.
The fact that I know that girl's name is haunting to me, because like I didn't want to know that. But when I was doing that article,
every time her name is mentioned, a brain cell dies.
Whenever I was doing that article about the TikTok stars that made more than CEOs, I just was like, well, I sat there and I said, what does she really post? Like, is it really that bad? So I went on to YouTube and I typed her name in, and then I was like, compilation, or just like best of 2021 compilation. I sat there for about 5 minutes watching these, and every single video is her dancing. And it's not like you can dance and be a professional dancer and it be, well done and well executed and beautiful. But when you're just like, I don't even consider that really like dancing. Like, is moving your arms doing, like, to me, it just looks like a more trendy version of the Dr. Evil dance. It's like, that's what it looks like to me. Call me a boomer, call me old school, but like, if you were to take that Dr. Evil little dance that he does for Scott at the first Austin Powers movie and put a trendy trap beat behind it and kind of speed it up and screw with the video a little bit, you could probably have a number one TikTok on that platform. But like, yeah, literally it was 20 minutes of just her dancing. Sometimes like to the same exact song, just a different move. Or she'd have like friends in there and they'd be like, you like to do like some moving their arms in the air and acting and stuff like that. And I after I had to do CPR on my brain cells so I don't permanently lose them, I was like, no, people really don't consume this. Like, I refuse to believe that people consume this. And then I go to the comment section and everyone's like, oh my gosh, she's so great. I love the one at this watermark. Oh my gosh, if I could only dance like her. Does anybody know how she learns these dances so fast? I'm like, we're done. We're done.
As a society.
There's that meme I always have where it's the Michelangelo painting of the Sistine Chapel where it's like God and he's like trying to like touch Adam's finger, but it's the picture of God and it's a picture of the earth and it has a giant like a reset button on it, and then it's just like Noah start building the ark again. I'm like, so we're done. We're done. The fact that people would give so much of their time to a person who dances for 7 seconds on the internet And it's not that you can't have appreciation for someone that's popular. I mean, heck, I have a lot of appreciation and gratitude for someone I've never met that's very popular. But I think that a guy like a Neil Peart or a guy like David Bowie or Paul McCartney probably has a little bit more contribution to society and to art than Charlie D'Amelio. But that's just maybe. I'm just throwing out there. It's definitely. Maybe it's not a lot, but it's probably a little bit more positive influence on the world art and entertainment.
Well, because the difference is David Bowie was a creator. What she does when all these other TikTokers do, they take someone else's song and someone else's dance moves and then they copy and paste it of their own.
But Joe, she learns them so fast. How does she learn those dance moves so fast?
So what? I wouldn't be so opposed to, I guess, the metaverse and NFTs if we didn't have such a culture of censorship and government and just outright authoritarianism that comes from tech companies. If Mark Zuckerberg wasn't Mark Zuckerberg and there wasn't problems with Google, like there's serious problems with Google. If we didn't have any of these problems, maybe. But because these companies and these people that run these companies are so freaking evil, and because they are so tied to the state in so many different ways, I'm not so confident that the future is going to be so rosy and perfect.
I disagree. I am okay with the metaverse. I'm okay with NFTs. I'm okay with all this on one condition, that it doesn't replace regular life. And here's why.
But it's going to.
No. Just let me finish, okay? And this is my last thing I'm going to say on this, okay? I have no issue with TikTok. I have no issue with the metaverse. I have no issue with NFTs. My only gripe is that they have to become one. Like regular society, TikTok, social media, NFTs, they all have to go into the metaverse. So you'll have the metaverse and then you'll have reality. And you can't make the metaverse like coercive. You have to make it optional, okay? If the metaverse is optional, voluntary. If the metaverse is completely voluntary, and it only in TikTok and NFTs and all these other crap things exist only within the metaverse and not in reality, I'm fine with it. Go for it. You can plug yourself into the Matrix and live there and watch Charli D'Amelio dance her butt for 7 seconds every single day for the rest of your life and listen to garbage music and trade your digital house. But just leave me alone. Just leave me alone and don't interact with the rest of society, because the rest of society has things to do and problems to solve and has worlds to colonize. Okay, we have to get to Mars. Okay, we're going to Mars. I will be on the first shuttle with Elon Musk, hopefully, and we're gonna go to Mars. Or even better, we will leave Earth and we'll go live on Mars, and then we'll just call the Earth just like Meta Earth. and then everyone can live in their little pods and can just sit in their pod with their little goggles on and never leave and be on an IV drip for the rest of their lives. And we'll go live on Mars and we'll drive around Cybertrucks and it'll be awesome. I'm down with that.
We'll be in the real new world.
Yes.
The new real world.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yes. And we'll just change the name Mars to just like reality.
Call sign New Earth.
Yes, a new call sign, New Earth reality. So I'm all in favor of the metaverse as long as it follows those criteria. So, someone's like, "Oh, Jacob, that's so mean. You would want half the population to plug themselves away." Yes, because if somebody was willing to just plug themselves away to this fake reality, I probably didn't want to be friends with them. I probably didn't want to meet them at any point in my life. So is there any loss? Is there any negative aspect to this? I'm only seeing positives here, okay? My little pro and con board is pretty heavy towards the pros right now. So that is my official statement on the metaverse, on NFTs, on TikTok. They can exist, but they have to just be all one package. So if you're like, "Hey, I can't get TikTok on my phone," well, have you connected to the metaverse? No? Oh, well, see, that's your problem.
That's your problem. Oh, okay. All right. And then the rest of us can go back to flip phones. No more smartphones.
No more smartphones?
No more smartphones, and computers will only exist in libraries.
Only exist in libraries? What if you need to like type a like I don't know, like a document or something?
Okay, you can have a personal computer, but it'll only have Word and Excel and very limited capabilities to the internet.
anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
That's it.
So a couple things to note for the show. I am slowly but surely moving everything over to a new email hosting site called Proton Mail. It's completely end-to-end encryption. I have a personal account over there that I'll be using for now. But the Standing Brothers Show at gmail.com, we're going to probably start like slowly drifting all of the websites we use with that.
We're gonna nuke it.
I'm slowly going to migrate that over to Proton Mail. So I have to like get a deal with Proton Mail so I can have multiple email accounts, which is fine. But I'm trying to get slowly more and more away from Google. I've been kind of working on that this month, and then in February, gonna be working more at that. I know that I have to use Chrome for school. Like it won't work in any other browser, so that's fine. I'll just be for school purposes. But slowly moving everything over to Proton. So on all the Substack articles, I'll be linking down my Proton mail address down there. And that's the best way to get in touch with me now. I'll stop posting the Standing Brothers Show at gmail.com in the description for new podcasts. And I'll just put down my personal email for now until I can get an official show Proton email up and running. Second thing, be on the lookout. I think Monday I'm going to be posting a new full-length article on my Substack. It is on the drug war.
It's gonna be spicy.
So if you, I encourage people to read it. I know this is gonna get a lot of flack. What I may do is, if it gets enough traction, I may answer questions about it, because I know people are gonna have differing opinions. Even people who I think largely agree with me will still disagree on some aspects of it, which is completely fine.
What we could do is, if anyone has any questions, just email. You will remain anonymous, and we'll answer on the show.
Yeah. So what I'll do is that I will look for that Monday morning. I think it's done. I'm just doing some proofreading and trying to find some sources to cite and stuff like that right now.
And the grammar.
Yeah, I'm just trying to proofread and grammar check it right now. So, but look for that on Monday to come out. After that, I'm definitely going to be doing a album review, another music. Those don't take quite as long to do, and we have a surprise coming up.
Yes,
we have a non-political podcast coming. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's going to be a podcast solely directed towards music. So I think what I'm thinking about doing for that one is we're going to record it over the weekend and release it for Patreon subscribers first. So probably release it as soon as we're done recording it and editing it. We'll go and upload it to Patreon for subscribers only. So if you want to listen to that early, I'm thinking I'm probably gonna release it give it 3 or 4 days on the Patreon page before it goes to Spotify. So if you want to listen to our music only podcast, we're not talking about, there's no politics,
nope.
No COVID, no nothing, just straight, no NFTs, no metaverse, no TikTok stars, no economics. We're just talking straight music from the heart. Be on the lookout for that. Probably Sunday evening is the plan to record that. So if you want to listen to that early and you want to jump on the bandwagon first, and you'll also get links to the Spotify playlist that we're going to be referencing from in that music-only podcast. We'll have the links for that down below, where you can go and listen to those playlists first. So if you're interested in that, get subscribed, join the website down below. Patreon. Patreon.com/The Standing Brothers Show is the way to do that. $5 a month gets you access to every single episode 1 day early. You can also buy a t-shirt from our Teespring store. They're pretty cool. Got one. And again, reach out to the show. jacobstandards.protonmail.com is the best way to get in touch with me. So yeah, also the Substack is always there. I did a little thing yesterday.
I put my email up there too?
If you want, I'm just doing my email right now, just until I can get the show's email up. So just it's like a temporary email right now. But if you want to get on Joe's email too, you can always just link it down below if you want to get in touch with you personally. So yeah, that's the show, episode 135. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Links will be down in the description below. Check out the Substack later on Monday. And I wrote something yesterday about the New York Times is beginning to feel the pressure on the COVID narrative. Go read that. It's not long. It's only about a paragraph or two long. It's Friday, so that means the weekend is upon us. And that always means I'm going to encourage you guys to go do something awesome this year, or this weekend, especially this year. And go have fun. Go be with friends and family. Go do something fun and interesting. I know that my weekend will be full of school and writing articles and fun stuff like that. But for the rest of you out there who don't have a miserable existence of being scammed by big universities as myself, you can go do something else. That would be awesome. But I love you all. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, the support and comments mean the most to all of us. Joe, you have anything you want to say to the good people?
Like, share, subscribe, and give us a 10!
Yes, give me a 10! A 10! Those of you who don't know, that is a Craig Ferguson reference. Wasn't that the warm-up comedian?
Yeah.
He comes out there, he's like, give me a 10! People are like, what's a 10? But I don't know, but give me a 10!
We call him a comedian. He's not really a
He's not really a comedian.
Anyway.
Guys, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Peace!
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Roger, Tranquility, we copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.